If you have ever felt that your story with Jesus isn't dramatic enough to share, then this video is for you. I never had a dramatic conversion story, no lightning bolt, no drastic before and after, just a deep, steady longing for Jesus as long as I can remember. If you've ever felt that your story isn't big enough to be worth telling, I want you to listen to mine as I share today. I did some impromptu answers to some questions that I'll be sharing in this video. So, kind of a different way of sharing my story just by answering the questions. If you have other questions about me or my story that you would like me to answer, leave those in the comments or send me a message and I will answer those in a future video. So now here's my answers to the question. When did you come to know Christ? Part of me wants to give a specific date and like a very religious answer, I guess. But the truth is, I've always known him. And that, again, is not me. Like, he has just always been close. And I longed for him. And I don't know if I would have said that I knew him when I was younger. Like, as a child, when I was longing for him, I wouldn't have said I knew him because I can remember so many times crying alone that I wanted a Jesus with skin on. Like, so I believed in him as long as I could remember, but I didn't experience him in relationship like I wanted to until after I had kids. I was raised in a family where I was at church every Sunday and we were memorizing scripture, and so I've always known him. I have a very gradual conversion story. I don't have this is the day everything changed kind of story. Who brought you to the Lord? He did. He put me in a family that loved the word and had me immersed in scripture and biblical teaching. And so it was all him. Again, it wasn't like I had a past to come. I mean, we all have a past, but it wasn't like I never knew him and then someone introduced me. He just brought me to himself from the beginning. How has God showed up in your life? That I could talk about for a really long time. I think my favorite way that he's shown up in my life is the small things. When an eagle flies over, or he uses words from a secular song to speak to my heart, or just those whispers and peaceful days, peaceful moments where I'm like, this is just for me. And he connects with me and he's there and he listens to my heart, regardless of what my heart is saying that day. And he speaks to me and he loves me. Like, he's also shown up in like bigger, more fantastic, miraculous ways of our entire family suffered carbon monoxide poisoning, and looking at our blood levels, they couldn't believe that we were even alive, much less functioning. And so he saved us from that, and he paid the bill for that through the faithfulness of his people. We had a couple and a single gentleman that gave us money every single month to cover our payments to pay off that bill from, we had to have hyperbaric treatment to get the carbon monoxide out of our systems. We started a ranch and he just provided miraculously over and over and over again. We had a summer where it rained all but like 11 days, and we had a hay farm and you cannot put up hay in the rain. And we had some hay that we really needed to get up, and could see the rain coming because they're up against the mountains. So the clouds pack in against the mountains, and then it rains in the afternoon. And it's like, no, it can't rain. Like, keep this field dry. And it rained in the pasture, and the hay stayed dry. Like, you could walk in and out of the rain. And yeah, I want more stories like that. But I also love the little moments where he shows up and speaks and reminds me that he still loves me when I make a mess. Do you still feel God's presence? Yeah, you do. And I'm very grateful. He's not going anywhere. I don't always feel him the same. But again, when I choose to connect with my spirit, who is connected with the Lord, then experience his presence. It's not like it's a on demand kind of thing, but it's not like I'm not trying to produce feelings or goosebumps or whatever. His presence is so comforting, and I'm just so grateful that it's always there. Will you ask God when given the opportunity? I thought this was an interesting question because I'm like, I have the opportunity right now. I ask him questions all the time. And I suppose it's coming from more of a perspective of, like, when you stand before God and you finally see him face to face and you're having a conversation, like, what question would you ask? I don't think I'm going to have any questions in that moment, but I also ask those questions now. And you might not get an answer. He might be like, yeah, it's above your pay grade. Corey Ten Boom talks about her father. He had his briefcase and they were going on a train, I think. And she'd heard something in the news or something, and she'd heard the word sex. And she's like, what is that? And he's like, well, are you going to carry my briefcase for me? What would happen if I asked you to carry this? Well, it's really heavy. He's like, yeah, and so is that. It's not something you need to carry. So I think that's how the Lord answers a lot of our questions. Like, you don't need to carry that, especially our why questions. Like, I often talk about, like, why is the wrong question? Because most of the time, if you could get an answer to that why question, why did this person die? Why did this person leave? Why did this go wrong? Most of the time, if you had that answer, like, it actually wouldn't fix anything. Sometimes you might get like, oh, that's what went wrong. Here's what I'm doing different next time. But for so many of the tragedies and things that we struggle with, having why answered doesn't really make any difference. So let go of those questions. And then I think, like I do, I have tons of questions. I know, just curiosity, science, like, how did you ever come up with a platypus? Or how did you ever come up with all this, like, an eye, a cell, like, all these things? Like, how did you do that? And then, like, please have, like, YouTube in heaven. Like, I want to see David walk up to the valley of where the Philistines were challenging Israel, and I want to hear what he heard, and I want to hear how he responded, and I want to see how he went down the valley. And Hannah praying for Samuel, Mary when the angel came, like, what did that look like? What was the timeline? So yes, I have tons of questions, but also, like, just really wanted to say, like, you don't have to wait to heaven to ask those questions. Ask now. He's speaking. Will he answer every question? Probably not. Will he answer exactly the way you want to? Probably not. But have the conversations anyway, because he already knows that you're wondering, and he wants to talk to you. He wants to have conversations with you. So make the time to have conversations with him. And if you have questions about having a relationship with Jesus, asking those questions, having those conversations, just anything that this video brought up for you. I would love to hear that in the comments and be able to address those in a future video. Your healing heals generations, so keep at it.